So we're heading into week 8, and the theme for this week and for the remainder of the season is going to be back to the basics, attention to detail, discipline, and focus. So I talked a lot last week about coaching, and so I want to just make some things clear. I'm in full support of the coaches that we have in place. Full support. I understand that this is a brand new staff in terms of the roles that they're in terms of, I'm sure nobody expected 2 years ago to all of a sudden be in a position where you're the head coach or the new DC and the original coach is gone at Morgan State. I'm sure that was pretty unexpected. So this is new to everybody, right? So I understand that. There's going to be some adjustments, some growing pains. So I understand that. Once again, I told you I'm in education, and one thing that I've learned from being in this field is if it doesn't come out in the wash, it'll come out in the rinse. Meaning, whatever cracks, whatever issues, whatever things that you've let fall by the wayside, if it don't show up early, it's definitely going to show up late. So just speaking from the educational field, if your behavior management skills and your classroom management and your protocols and how you handle the classroom environment is not on point in October, you may be able to get by in October. But when May comes around and the weather's getting warmer and the year's almost over and kids are ready to go and they're hyped up and they're antsy, whatever you didn't instill early on, it's going to come out and it's going to show then. I learned that the hard way early on in my career. And so what I'm saying is that's something for this staff to be on alert about going forward. Because as I look back on the season, there was a lot of things that were going, the same things that are going on now were going on earlier. It's just that we were winning at the time. Like right now we have 17 total turnovers on the season. But turnovers have really been a problem the entire season, going all the way back to the beginning. Like 2 games in, we had about 5 or 6 turnovers. As a matter of fact, turnovers is why we lost the Davenport game. We turned the ball over several times, a lot of times in scoring position against Davenport. That's a game that we could have or should have won, but we turned the ball over entirely too much. And I'm not even referring to the last turnover because, it's the end of the game. You're trying to get the ball in the end zone and try to win the game. So that, but it was several turnovers prior to that. But it's early on in the season. We're winning games. We're 2-1, 3-1, looking good. Not really paying attention to it. And the reason I can say not really paying attention to it is because it never got corrected. There were several things that really were alarming from the very beginning that were never corrected. Turnovers was one of them that was never corrected. And now, in the rinse, it's a glaring issue. The running game was an issue from the very beginning that was never fixed or rectified. And the reason I keep harping on that is because, and once again, I'm not a coach. I'm not in the locker room. I don't know what's going on. All I know is what I've seen on the field. And what I've seen on the field is, for whatever reason, the guy who's been the most productive, the guy who has the only 100-yard rushing game that we have on the season, the guy who averages 4 yards a carry, which is a lot for how our running game has looked this year, for whatever reason, is not being used nearly as much as you would think for being the most productive in the backfield so far this year. I don't understand it. Now, does he make the huge explosive runs where you getting 40 and 50 yards? No. But what he does do, he doesn't take a loss. He's always falling forward. He's always going to get between 3 and 5 yards. He's always going to find a crease and get 3 and 4 yards. He's always going to make 1st and 10 turn into 2nd and 6, 2nd and 5. Every single time consistently. But for whatever reason, that's one of the things. It's like it doesn't make sense. But back to the turnovers. Because truth be told, turnovers almost cost us the St. Aug's game. If it wasn't for the kicker making the stop, we would have lost at home to St. Aug's, a team that just hasn't won the game and just fired their coach. Why? Once again, turnovers. Yes, it was terrible weather in that game, but we also had several other opportunities to score and get an even bigger cushion in that game. And we turned the ball over several times, one time in the end zone in that game. So turnovers is something that's been coming out, that's been hurting us now. It's been an issue the entire year, but, we're winning games. What happened was, in my personal opinion, the team is just so talented. This is a very, very talented team. And so due to that, I think a lot of things were just, not emphasized as being as important as they were. But now, over the last 3 games, we're starting to see how important those things are. See, because it was actually turnovers that cost us against Livingstone. Because we were able to move the ball very easily against Livingstone. We just turned it over far too many times. And then guys are turning the ball over. Guys get frustrated. Next thing you know, the people are not focused. And then we're giving up big plays in the passing game. And next thing you know, we lose to Livingstone. But that wasn't the first time. See, I could write off the Livingstone thing as just say it's a bad game, fluky things happen. But when you really look at it, we've been having issues with turnovers the entire season. It's just now starting to catch up with us and hurt us. Like for those of you who've been watching, it started really with Davenport. Because once again, that just goes to show you the potential that the team had this year. Because as you look at it right now, Davenport is nationally ranked and undefeated. But when they went up against us, we really could have and should have won that game by multiple scores. But we had several bad turnovers in that game. But that goes to show the team went out for week 1, got a FCS win. Week 2, they're in Michigan against a team that's nationally ranked. Could have, should have beat them. Because the team is so talented, because this is only year 2, and because we were winning, a lot of things weren't treated with the urgency that they needed to be. One was the turnovers. The second thing was the running game. It was clear early on, like week 1, the running game was an issue. The only reason Delaware State even scored 11 points is because they got so many possessions and the defense got tired because we couldn't milk the clock and run out the game. Early on, and it's something that I learned in education, early on when you see something, you have to address it. It's not just going to go away. It's not just going to fix itself. It's going to progressively get worse over time. For those of you out there who are parents, you know this with your kids. If you don't check that attitude, that smart mouth, them always talking back and asking questions and not taking no for an answer, if you don't check that early, it only gets worse. The same thing with the offense overall. It was clear early on that we needed a lot more imagination, a lot more creativity, a lot more up-tempo to it. That was clear early on. But what happens is, once again, you got so much talent. You guys have done a great job of recruiting. That's one thing we have to give to the staff. They have done an amazing job at recruiting. They have a lot of talent on that team. They got size, they got speed, they got skill, they got all of that. But at a certain point in time, guys have to be put in the correct situations to succeed. And us from outside looking in, we've seen all year that walking up to the line, letting the clock run down, and just because we're just going to walk up here and run our stuff because we Bowie State, that hasn't worked this year. The lack of imagination with the offense, that hasn't worked this year. Run on first down, run on second down, try to make something happen on third down, that hasn't worked this year. These instances where you have all these different routes and you have to do anticipatory throws, that hasn't worked this year. For whatever reason, it doesn't seem as if the guys behind center have gotten into a rhythm and have gotten comfortable and are now ready to make those anticipatory throws in tight windows with multiple route combinations. It's been clear for some time now that maybe we need to go up tempo. Maybe we need to adjust some of the routes, simplify some things, make some things quicker. Incorporate some shorter routes. Every once in a while, just throw a bomb downfield. Incorporate the tight end more. That's been clear that maybe we should have been trying those things for a while now. And the reason I say that is because if you really look at it, you've scored 20 points only twice this season. 22 against Delaware State, 21 against Shaw. Outside of that, we have not scored 20 points this season. We average about, 16 a game this year? In terms of being more physical than the other team. That has been something that's been noticeable for a while now. Imposing your will on the other team in the run game, that's about physicality. Stopping the run, that's about physicality. We've seen issues with both of those all year long. It's only now recently it's been highlighted because we're playing two very physical, run-heavy conference opponents. And it's been exposed. Not as physical as need be. Not as fundamentally sound in terms of tackling as need be. But like I said, everything that is needed is right there in the locker room. We got the coaches. We have the players. It's all about getting back to the basics, getting back to the fundamentals, starting at square one. Be more physical than the other team. Take care of the football. We can't be having fumbles. We can't have all these interceptions. We got to use the right players in the right positions in the right situations. We got to figure out how to get into a rhythm offensively. That's all it's about. That's really all that needs to happen. Get focused on the details, on the fundamentals, on all of those things. I believe that we have the running back to get the job done. We have the quarterback to get the job done. We have the receivers to get the job done. We have the O lineman and the D lineman to get the job done. We definitely have the secondary to get the job done. We definitely, in my opinion, have the coaching staff to get the job done. I'm in full support of everybody across the board. We have the Bowie State football team has everything it needs to win out the rest of the season and finish the season 6-4. 3 straight wins, going out on a high, being prepared for next season. And the good thing about it is we have a lot of guys who are not seniors, so it's going to be a lot of guys coming back next year. They're going to have something to say about who wins the North next year. But right now, this year, there's 3 games left. Bluefield, Elizabeth City, and Lincoln. Bluefield and Elizabeth City are both 1-5, 1-6. They have 2 wins combined, both of them. But here's the thing. We can't keep rolling out there thinking because we got all this talent, we got all this, and we got all this or that we just going to roll out there and because we Bowie State, we going to win the game. That's not the case. Because I'm telling you right now, if Bluefield plays more physical than you, they can beat you. If we turning the ball over, they can beat you. If we going 3 and out, they can beat you. See, because here's the thing with Bluefield. They have a terrible defense. They give up over 30 points a game. But like I just said, we only score 16 a game. So if we're turning the ball over, if we're not a creative on offense, if we can't get players in position, if we can't get into a rhythm, if we're turning the ball over, can't run the ball, it don't matter how many points they give up if we haven't shown an ability to score all year. So basically all we got to do, if we play fundamentally sound, purposeful football, making tackles, holding on to the football, moving the ball down the field. And we don't even got to score. It's not about scoring all the time. Sometimes it's just about getting between 15 and 28 yards, taking 3 or 4 minutes off the clock, getting 2 or 3 first downs, letting the defense rest for 3 or 4 minutes, punting the ball deep and adjusting the field position. Then the defense is rested. They go out there. They shut them down. They have to punt. The next thing you know, we got the ball at midfield. That's what it's about. It's not about scoring all the time. It's about getting a couple of first downs, letting the defense get some rest, changing the field position. Because I'm telling you, man, I was at that Union game. And I can tell you, man, 3 and out, that's demoralizing. It's not even just about scoring. It's about, 3 plays and we're already back on. Dang. It's like you get an interception and it's like, oh, let's go. And then 90 seconds later, you're back out on the field on defense because the offense once again went 3 plays and out. That's the focus for the rest of the year. Attention to detail. Because I'm telling you, this team can score. The problem is they give up way more than they score. But if we don't turn that ball over, if we can move the balls decently, and if this is a game the secondary are going to have to be awake because Bluefield likes to throw that ball. Secondary got to be awake. Pass rush got to be awake. So in order for all those things to work well and for those guys to be, ready to go, The offense has got to figure out ways to move the ball and take care of the ball. Special teams got to be on alert. Because Bluefield, they've scored several times this year off of kick returns. Everybody got to be on alert. Everybody got to be focused. Everybody has to do their job. Everybody, from the top down. Go out there, take care of the football, move the football, play solid defense, make tackles, wrap up, play physically, show them that we are the bigger, faster, stronger, more physical team, and we're going to impose our will on you in the run game and on defense, and get out of West Virginia with a win. Move up to 4-4. The next thing you know, we got Senior Day at home versus Elizabeth City. Another one-win team. Because there's still a whole lot to play for. You know, this entire season, only one Bulldog has won CI Player of the Week honors. So you got 3 more weeks to try and change that. There's also 3 weeks to try and get guys on the All-CIAA team for the year. There's also time to try and get guys selected for the HBCU Legacy Bowl. There's also just pride and, man, we haven't had a losing season in 10 years. We haven't been 500 in 10 years. We haven't had a losing conference record in 10 years. Let's finish out 6-4, winning record, on the high, 3 straight wins, figuring out some things. Let's come on, man. Let's just get this together. But it has to start with the top. Attention to detail, focus, planning. We do that, we're going to leave Bluefield with a win.